Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where real estate meets real life skills. Hosted by Andrea Lane and Alyssa Bicar, each episode features investors turning their unique edge into long-term rental success.
Hello and welcome to the Built for This podcast. I'm your co-host, Alyssa Bicar, here with my partner in crime, Andrea Lane, the fearless real estate investor. Together, we interview real estate investors from across the nation that are bringing their personal skill sets to the table in what they do for their real estate investment business. Andrea, who do we have for him today?
So today I'm real excited to have Adam Rojas. And Adam, thank you for coming. We really are happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I ask the same question at the beginning of every meeting. Why did you get into real estate investing? I'm always curious.
So I got in kicking and screaming, if I'm going to be completely honest. So my wife and I got married about 3 years ago and bought a house for the two of us to live in. And she had a previous place, and she said, I think I don't want to sell it. I think I want to rent it out and see if we can get something happening there. Because I think the house will go up in value in a couple of years. Yep. And I said, no, let's sell. No, I don't want to get into this whole investing, renters, all this kind of stuff. So here we are almost 3 years later, actually over 3 years later. Now we've got a second property in the same neighborhood where the first property is. And so we are renting it out, getting a little bit of passive income to help us, support our lifestyle.
I love that story, Adam. And usually up front, I mention that you have two rental townhouses in the Atlanta area, really close to where you live, it's good and bad. In your case, it's really good because you can find the properties. Where I am, finding properties to rent becomes a little more difficult. But yeah, that's fabulous. And I love the story that your wife sort of pushed you into it, because so many people are afraid to take the first step. They know it'll work, but they're not quite ready to move to the next step in it. But now that you're in it, what do you love most about it?
Yeah, I think it's just that idea that that we're building something that can continue on, so that once we're to use Alyssa's phrase from another show she does, so that once we're out of the grind, we still have some positive income coming in, other than just our 401ks and IRAs and all of those other financial investments. So
that's great.
I'm just going to throw my financial background in here. He's diversifying his income streams and reducing his long-term risk.
And I showed Alyssa last week again why people should be in real estate. Because if you buy a property a year for 10 years and you do the right thing, if you put all the money back in 10 years, you can be, I don't know, $20,000 a month in income. That interests people, might be worth your goal. Your wife may have been right.
I may not let her watch this podcast because she will probably follow that advice. We've already started talking about purchasing a third property. So,
great. So my question is now, you two have a very specific dynamic. Not only are you partners in your marriage, but now you're partners in this real estate investment business, as are, my husband and I, and Andrea and her son. So we want to kind of explore that dynamic here a little bit, because oftentimes there's kind of like a division of labor, or a division of skill sets, I'll say, where, for me, I'm more focused on the acquisitions and the stabilization, and my husband's more focused on, making sure that the systems we set up are off and running and clicking and accountable. So he is more like the maintenance and sustainability end. So how do your and your wife's skill sets kind of inform how you go about doing this real estate investing business?
So she's definitely the strategist and the forward thinker, right? She's, if I had to give her a title, she's the CEO leading the charge. I'm more the CFO/COO kind of, all right, let's make sure the numbers make sense. Let's kind of figure out operationally how this is going to function. And then I am also the minor maintenance man, in terms of things that need to be done that can be done. Typically between turnover, because we do have a management company that handles, when the toilet has a problem or the AC has a problem or something like that. But then kind of in that in between time when we don't have a tenant, then I go in and I'm like, okay, well, let me fix this and let me adjust this and let me do this. And so I guess I'm COO/CFO/ maintenance guy.
I love it. If you heard Alyssa, my son is in business with me. My husband, not interested at all. We tried it, didn't work. He helps us out when we have, like you do, maintenance problems and we're there. He does that. But, my son is one of my partners. I'm a partner with two other people and each of us have a role and they're very, very different. We don't step on each other's toes, but finding that in a marriage is a lot tougher to make it work effectively. So kudos to you. And that takes a skill in and of itself for you two to work together. I know that from past experience.
I don't think I could have done it maybe 10 years ago. I think I'm a lot more mature and level-headed at this point in my life. So
you gave up some of that level A stuff. You're not quite, I got to do it all. Good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So would you say this dynamic, and maybe I'm not asking this question right, what would you say is your unfair advantage that gives your power team a unique advantage in the marketplace?
I think Rhonda, my wife, she has that ability to sort of think 3 steps ahead. And so I think that's kind of a clear advantage. Like some of the things that we've looked at and the numbers made sense, but then as we talk through it, she's like, well, this is a challenge and this is a challenge and this is a challenge. And so properties we've passed on have proven out to be that they would have been a bad investment for us. So I think that's kind of the superpower. And then on the flip side, what we've got currently and how we're building it, I think my ability to forecast and think through, okay, how the valuation's going to run and what we need to do in terms of rental pricing and things like that. I think that's been where I've been able to bring in some of my analytical skills to help create that super team that you called it.
Yeah. So what's been your biggest challenge or struggle lately? What in real estate? Not.
I don't know lately. What we did, we had a challenge with one of our properties where it was empty for almost a year, which definitely hit into some of those sunk cost profits that we had. So that was a bit of a challenge, and that's where we started talking about diversifying into maybe some single family homes, because we have townhouses right now, and different area of the Metro Atlanta. We want to stick to the Metro Atlanta area just because we don't want to have to travel to see properties and things like that. I was sharing with Andrea before we got on. Our first property we tried to manage ourselves, and we hit every disaster known to man in managing that first property.
That's a big claim, dude. Go ahead. Tell us more, because this is the juice for the squeeze.
Yeah. So
your mistakes.
So we found a great renter. I mean, on paper, phenomenal, great job, great income, everything known to man. Everything was signed. She took possession. We don't believe she ever lived in the unit a single day. She was renting it for her sister, who would have never qualified for a rental. And then on top of that, the sister was doing illegal things in the property. and it took us to get the sheriffs to actually get her out of the property. And the amount of mess and disaster far exceeded the security deposit for said property. So yeah, it was a very hard, expensive lesson to have.
Yeah, this is where property managers come in really helpful because they understand the lease. That lease may not have had the right wording in it to get rid of somebody who didn't belong there.
Yeah.
They understand, look behind the scenes a little bit. That really helps you out when you're looking for a good tenant.
Totally.
So good for you
Yeah.
that you discovered that early, because I'm a big proponent of property managers. You need to manage your property manager, and you're always going to have something going on.
Oh yeah.
But let them handle the problems. But a lot of
And
people like to do the work that you don't want to deal with all that stuff.
yeah.
I
And you're
ask,
right. Sorry.
Go ahead, Adam. I want to hear.
I was just going to say, and you're right, you do need to manage that property manager. We've had quite a few discussions, I'll just put it, with our property management company about, wait a second, no, you don't send a maintenance person out. This is what the problem is. This was the same thing that just happened to them 30 days ago. Why are we rolling another truck out there? Those types of things. They are very much, oh, well, the tenant picks up the phone and calls, I need to send somebody out there. No, pump the brakes. Let's talk about this. And I think part of the benefit for us is that we lived in in one of the units for a number of years, both together and just my wife separately before we got married. So we understand some of the mechanics behind the unit. So we're able to then diagnose things. Oh, when this happened, it's really because of this. You forgot to put on the filter or something.
so I have a question, and this may bite me, but
I love you. Go.
you said that your unit was empty for a year, but clearly you didn't sell it. I have a question for you. Based on when you moved out to today, has that unit appreciated in value
Yes.
significantly?
Not as significantly as maybe other areas, but yes, it's been a decent, a couple percentage points. So
yeah, that's the one thing people forget, right? So there are struggles. You don't want vacant units. I'm not a proponent, but your property continues to appreciate, and you're going to get a tenant who's going to be there for the next 20 years to make sure that mortgage is paid down. I love it. Yeah. Sorry, Alyssa, but go ahead.
No, you're good. See, this is why we have the hand signals. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's you. If you're just listening, you're missing out. So when I'm hearing you go, okay, we learned our lesson. We self-managed. We hit all the landmines that were out there. What parts of that do you continue to do? What parts of the self-management is still in your business today? Are there any?
Yeah, I think it's kind of turned more again into that managing the manager, right? And then, and then we do, again, between tenants and stuff, we go in there and we fix stuff ourselves and, make modifications here and there and whatever the case may be. But as a general rule, we stay out of the management process. We, even once we hired the property manager, we foolishly gave them contact information for us, which we have since stopped doing that. So,
yeah. So two things. First of all, working with a property manager for your first property or two takes a little while, getting to know how each of you work and making sure you're on the same page, doing the same thing. And it looks like you're working through that, which is great. And your property manager has taken a load off your plate, right? And so the benefit has been immense.
Yes.
So you get to do what you really like to do when it comes to managing properties, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's great because the agent and I we'll have conversations as renewals come up and things like that, and talk through, okay, you know, what else, what can we get out of this renewal? What sort of increase can we see? What's the market showing you? Here's what I'm seeing in the market. And we're able to have a really good, fruitful conversation about that.
I'm giving you the slow clap over here. This is gold. If you're not listening and absorbing and putting this into practice, here's your sign. Do this. I love that. It sounds like, you've built intentionally, you've put together a nice little portfolio. Are you wanting to grow it more? And like, are you satisfied with the number of units you have, or like kind of open up the plans that you kind of have in front of you?
Yeah, we do kind of toy back and forth with getting another, picking up a third unit. Again, probably something single family. So if you know anything about Atlanta, you've got 285, the perimeter that goes around, and that's kind of the heart of, from a rental perspective, the heart of Atlanta. You move out to the suburbs, which is where we live, not as much rental property, more just purchases, but you have a huge population that live inside that perimeter area. And so we've focused predominantly on the townhouses, but now I think we're looking to diversify, get a single family house, maybe a second. We did kind of toy with the idea of commercial property last year, but we decided that was not the investment strategy we wanted to go with.
So I love single families. If you ever heard me talk, I want to get rid of every apartment we own and go 100% into single families. 10,000 units works for me, right? As a matter of fact, there's a book, and I don't usually plug books, but you may want to read Building Wealth One House at a Time by John Schwab.
Okay.
Has an amazing way of looking at things. And I have listened to him, but I've never actually read the book. And I'm reading the book, and it says, here's why you want single family homes. And it's the same thing I tell people. Like, they are so beneficial to grow your portfolio. They actually appreciate better over time. And they have a much better tenants, unless you're in an A model apartment building, in my opinion. Single family is where it's at. So congratulations. I think
Thank
it's
you.
great.
Yeah. And so we want to know, as we're wrapping up, just real quick, a recent win or lesson or story that from your investing journey. I know we kind of got a whole lot of value talking here so far, but what would you consider a most recent win?
I think it's the our ability to really kind of talk through and identify what are the right business decisions for us. So as an example, we had looked at a property maybe 9 months ago, and we were another townhouse not far from our existing ones that we were looking to purchase. And then in the interim, we decided not to. And in the interim, the market in that area just completely obliterated. All of the retail and food places that had gone in there initially shut their doors. And so we knew that particular area had just, it was going to end up being a bad investment, and we were going to end up holding on to something that was free falling, because the pricing actually went down a couple $100,000 over the course of the 9 months that as the builder was building out. So
wow.
So sometimes I guess the lesson is it's the risks you don't take, that when you realize the risk is too high to take.
Yeah, that sounds like a neighborhood that you want to keep your eye on going forward.
Sure.
Maybe a good buying opportunity. In addition, it may find its place to turn itself around. If the builder thought it was worthy, there's probably something there.
Yep.
Great win. I love it. So, yeah.
So what do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think we've got our eyes open on kind of what's that next property. There hasn't been anything that has just wowed us yet. And quite honestly, as you know, Alyssa, I'm still building my personal business, and so that takes a lot of my focus. My wife is a W-2 employee and travels a bunch, and that's taken a lot of her focus recently. So, we probably haven't spent as much time on it as we might have, but it's definitely not something we don't discuss at least once a month is what our next move is. So, we're always strategizing. And I think that's, again, one of our superpowers is we're always kind of trying to think 3 steps ahead, playing chess rather than checkers.
And listen, this is real world experience, real world advice, real world problems and solutions. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us here. I know I got a lot of value out of it, and it was a lot of fun having this conversation. So how can people connect with you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn. I am Adam Rojas. No numbers, no anything else. Just find me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to connect.
Yeah, that's Adam Rojas, Rojas on LinkedIn. Thanks a million for being here with us today. If you're listening to this on the broadcast, don't go away. We have another amazing episode queued up for you right after this.
This wraps another episode of Built for This. If you're a real estate investor with a unique edge, apply to join us at builtforthisshow.com/guest.